Welcome to Parenting Unscripted. I am your host, Katie Collett. We have a great episode for you today, but first, I would like to thank Norfolk Public Schools for once again sponsoring this episode. We have the holidays barreling towards us, so I think it's really important, especially for this time of year, to get our mental health in the right spot. And joining me today to help us do that is a very special guest. This is Max Willey of NAMI Coastal Virginia. Max, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Katie. I really appreciate being here today.
I think we're going to have a wonderful conversation. But first, I would like for our guests, or our viewers, I should say, to get a little more familiar with you. So share a little bit about your family with us.
Yeah, hometown right here in Hampton Roads. I was born in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm a ninth of a family of 10 children from 2 loving parents. I met my wonderful spouse at Old Dominion University, and we just celebrated 35 years of marriage this past July. With that, 2 wonderful children. I have a son who's a cybersecurity engineer, and then a daughter who is a licensed cosmetologist who's finishing up her last year in college and will be getting her degree in history. And I'm also a licensed minister, and then I'm in my first year of seminary school at Regent University.
Oh, wow. But you are just so busy. That is amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's so exciting. And I met your lovely daughter at an event for NAMI. She was so wonderful to speak to, and I loved her love of history. It was so great to talk to her about that. Yeah. Why don't we'll jump right into it. For those who are unfamiliar with NAMI, can you explain to everybody what the organization is and the goal?
Yeah, absolutely. We are the largest grassroots organization that focuses on folks with living mental health conditions and their family members. Our mission is to support, educate, and advocate for those who are not able to speak for themselves. Our goal is to reduce the stigma and then also to be able to look at the person and not the illness. So we offer free educational classes to the community. We have a lot of fundraising events that we do. And all of our classes are facilitated by individuals who have a direct tie to mental health, either by themselves or through a family member. I got involved in NAMI since about 2014, and I signed up for one of our signature classes, which is the Family to Family class. And that is one of our core classes that really teaches you as a parent, what mental health is, how the brain operates, what some of the communication strategies are when communicating with someone with mental health. And then we also talk about medications. And so I always tell parents, bring both parents with you, bring the spouse or bring that significant other, so you all can both be on one accord when it comes to that treatment of that loved one, because the medication and the insurance processes are very complicated. So we help navigate you through those circles, so you know how to ask the right questions of that mental health provider. And then we also do a lot of community events. This weekend, we have our annual NAMI walks down at the beach. So come on out, weather permitting, rain or shine, about 14th Street. We'll be kicking off just before 9 o'clock. It's a big fundraiser event to allow us to continue to provide these courses and classes free to the community. And then also on the 18th, we have our Mental Health Hero Ball. Katie, thank you last year for being part of that with us earlier. But that's recognizing those mental health professionals, those counselors, those folks who are there to help us navigate through our issues. $100 donation. It's going to be in Chesapeake. Love to see you.
And that really is an amazing event. And it really is, what you use the funds for is so spectacular, because it's so important for people to understand that there are a lot of people out there who need help, and that's okay. It's so important to ask for the help and realize where you can get that help, and to offer it for free, I just think is so wonderful. And you do so in a way where if you can't get there in person, there are also online support groups, right?
Right, absolutely. COVID taught us gave us the skills and the technical knowledge to be able to run these classes effectively online. And we have to always maintain that bit of confidentiality when we're having classes, and we make sure that those rules are adhered to with all the members that come and join us either in our in-person classes or in our online classes. I'm qualified to teach all of those, and it's just a joy to be there helping someone give them the tools that they need to work with their loved one.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes all the difference in the world. Let's get into the holidays, Max,
Okay.
because, like I said, they're really barreling right at us. And,
Yeah.
as a parent, you really want to try to make everything so magical for the loved ones around you. But
Right.
it doesn't always feel magical for people. What is it sometimes about the holidays, do you think, that can kind of make people feel a little down or make them realize they need some help?
Sure, because we think of holidays as a period of celebration, getting with family, but the aura of that only lasts a few weeks. But a
Yeah.
lot of folks who are living with mental health conditions, this is 365 days throughout the year.
Yeah.
So this often becomes a period of isolation for many. Sometimes those loved ones are estranged from their family because the family may have become the one that is estranged from them. So,
Right.
hey, I don't want to deal with that uncle over there. So what happens is that person just sits by themselves quite a bit. Anxiety gets very heightened during the holidays. Even when you're in a large circle, if you're in a big room with a lot of folks, you are still feeling by yourself. I just remember just going to holiday events at work, crowd of about 50 folks, and then there's always someone in the corner who just doesn't really engage with everyone. If you find yourself in that same situation with a family member, just feel free to reach over and be courteous with them. But also just meet them where they are. They may not want to fully engage, but just let them know that you're there for them. And then I'll also say that, a lot of people really love to have their cell phones out and they love to
Yeah.
just, do, Facebook Live. Just be cognizant that someone may not want to be in the camera all the time.
Yes.
And in today's economy, money is very tight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I just remember, as a child growing up, my dad used to give all of the kids $50 and we would go to downtown Norfolk and shop. But a lot of them don't have the money to do that because along with that, medication is so expensive. So you just have to be sure that you balance yourself. You make a budget, and we'll talk about that, a little bit later. But what you can do is just making sure that you recognize that person, make sure that you provide love for them. And then we're also not talking about someone who may be deceased. It just
Right.
could be, someone who just could be, ill. Just make sure that you reach out to them to keep them, let them know that you love them.
And on the other side of the break, we're going to talk a lot more about mental health in the holidays, especially dealing with loss and finances. So big topics. We're going to chat more about that with Max Willey of NAMI Coastal Virginia. We'll be right back.
Whether you're already working in education or aspiring to, then say yes to NPS. Norfolk Public Schools are currently hiring in the following positions. NPS offers the highest salaries and sign-on bonuses in Hampton Roads, plus a work lifestyle you'll love. Say yes to NPS.
We are back on Parenting Unscripted. I'm your host, Katie Collett, joined by Max Willey of NAMI Coastal Virginia. And before we took the last commercial break, Max, we were talking about finances and the stresses that can really put on parents, caregivers around the holidays. How can we try to do something to make it less stressful?
Right, absolutely. Everyone says, develop a budget, and easier said than done, of course. But you could probably really manage the finances during the holidays by just making a plan, figure out who you're going to give gifts to, and then do like we used to do way back ago, and that's put them on layaway.
Yeah, right? Yes.
But just, maybe start back in July or even June, get a list of who those are and just start buying those things, once a month over time. And then, everyone loves a tank of gas or they love groceries. Get them a $25 gift card. Let them spend it like the way that they want to. So you're not trying to figure out what the best gift is for someone. Now, for the young parents, if you have toddlers, get them maybe one or two little nice things for them, and then let them have a lot of memorable moments with you. Just like making cookies. If it's a snow day, go out there and make a snow angel. Just do some things to spend some fun time together with them, because that memory will last forever. Now, because that's just a priceless commodity. Now, for the older kids, teach them the adage of what it's like for community service. Let them get out in the neighborhood and maybe rake leaves for someone. Go and visit some of the elderly folks, maybe in a nursing home, engage in some caroling. Don't let them ask for anything, but instead let them give everything. Let them see what it's like to be a helper for someone else. That holiday period is a time of fun and celebration. Just make sure you know that they are there to love on others.
There is really something special. There is like such a special feeling about giving back. And I can never put my finger on it, but when you're in the middle of it and when you're done, gosh, you just feel so good. It's just like a little bit of a gentle high because you know that you did something good for someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Every once a month, I volunteer at our food distribution at our church, and we usually feed about 150 or more families. The tangible reward for me is seeing the smile on their faces when they say thank you.
Yep.
And it's just so rewarding for me.
Yeah, it just touches you in your heart. It everything that you need, you can just get from that moment. I think it's really a special thing. Why don't we talk about family dynamics around the holidays, especially in the political climate in which we're in, because you can't even talk politics at all anymore, it seems like, in a lot of families. So what do you do when you know, like, you have that aunt, uncle, grandparent who inevitably is going to want to say what they want to say, whether you want to hear it or not?
So beforehand, while you're sending out the invites and before the RSVPs come in, just say, hey, these are the ground rules for the event. There will be no discussions on religion or politics. Yeah. And once they come in the door, remind them of the rules. And don't be afraid to tell them, say, hey, if you cannot refrain from that conversation, then maybe you can just stay home.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep your house festive and you want to keep it welcoming for everyone. And be, while you're there, be prepared to derail conversations that may be going negative. And if if you're the host, you're running around, get a spouse or someone else to help you, co-chair that responsibility, just so that no one feels out of place. And then the last thing I would say is control the TV remote and the music. Put something on the TV that's neutral. A lot of people love to watch football games like on Thanksgiving or Christmas. I really love the Hallmark movies. Have something that's kind of festive and just have some easy jazz music or something that goes on in there. And one of the things that you could always do, you may be able to separate the kids from the adults, have different rooms, and activities across the house, so that if you're not able to get ahead of a conversation before it goes south, at least the kids will be removed from that situation.
I think that's great advice, because that's what's really important too. You really want the kids to be comfortable and to be happy. So there's a real bonus to having that kids table where you can, they're already there. They're kind of doing their own thing. So if things do start to take a turn, perhaps the wrong direction, they're already out of the room.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I think that is wonderful advice. Pain of loss around the holidays there's just something. I know we lost my grandmother, and then a short time later we lost my grandfather, but on separate sides. So my dad's dad, my mom's mom. And when we all got together for the holiday, we are a happy-go-lucky party family, and we just cried. There's just something about that first holiday, second, third holiday of them not being there that really makes you feel sad, but you want to try to remember them in a happy way. So how can you handle those feelings of loss and emotion?
Yeah, a lot of folks may not be ready to grieve. And we have to meet them to, where they are. And then you have to make sure that you're there when they first start breaking their silence. And that could be 2:00 in the morning. It could be 6:00 in the morning.
Right.
You may get a text and say, hey, I'm really want to talk about, mom, she's been gone now 2 years. And you have to be there for them, because the reason why they reached out to you, because they trust and ready to confide in you. Respect their comfort level, which is so important. And don't be compelled to get them to move faster. Because you think, hey, everything's good now. They reached out to me. Hey, let's go and get together with everyone. Just take a pause back. Let them be part of that process, because everyone grieves and mourns differently. If there's a loved one that could be near a end of life, and hopefully that doesn't happen, but it does, around the holidays, spend as much time as possible with them. I just remember with our mom, when she was, in those last few days, I didn't want to do anything except just be in the room
Yes.
with her, watching back-to-back episodes of the black and white TV shows that she loved and laughed. That was the joy for her. Spend that time. And then there may be some who you need to check on. By all means, check on those other folks, to those elders, or even someone with a mental health condition, because like we talked earlier, anxiety level kicks in, isolation
Yes.
kicks in. Be there, check on them, make sure they're okay. And then just, meet with them, tell them, hey, everything's okay. If you don't feel like coming today, it's just fine. We'll talk later.
When we get to the other side of the break, I want to talk about specifically children and loss and how to speak to them, because I know it is a little bit different and a very delicate situation. So we are going to talk more with Max Willey from NAMI Coastal Virginia on the other side of the break. We will be right back. Welcome back to Parenting Unscripted. I am your host, Katie Collett, continuing our wonderful conversation with Max Willey of NAMI Coastal Virginia. Max, I want to focus now on talking with our children who have suffered the loss of a loved one around the holiday time. What's the best approach for our littles and even our teens?
Yeah, Katie, that's a very delicate subject there. Yeah. And one of the things you have to really be mindful of is to be age appropriate when you're having the conversation. Obviously, tailor your conversation based on your own religious beliefs, your culture, and your system. But importantly, just keep the conversation truthful, because a loss is real, and you have to figure the words effectively to be able to tell them that, grandma, grandpa, or someone that's no longer here, they're in a better place. And be ready to answer questions. Well, what do you mean by a better place? And that's something that you will know with your child. One of the things that you could probably do just to help them cope and understand is do an exercise with them. Have them draw a picture or write a little story, and feel free to engage with them, and then share with each other what they come up with. And that could be an exercise for the entire family to be involved with, Katie, because it allows everyone to see what emotions that they're going through. For older children, let them know that it's okay to cry for that lost loved one.
Yes.
Let them know that it's okay to laugh. That loved one, has moved on and gone to a better place, but they would still want us to keep moving on and to keep living. So don't let the memory and the spirit of the person who has passed away go away. Always keep their spirit and their memory alive. One of the things that we also have to watch out for is just those health conditions that you may see in a child. So we talked about stress and anxiety and isolation, but look for other things. If the hygiene just seems like it's taken a different turn, or if your child, they would always keep their room neat and tidy, but now there's clothes everywhere and they're sleeping a lot more, or they're not. The teacher or the guidance counselor calls and say, "Hey, I'm not sure what's wrong with Sue or Johnny. What's going on?" Look for those things, and sometimes you may not see them, and it may be a teacher or someone that brings that attention to them. That's when you need to just, keep engaged with your loved one and just let them know, hey, I love you, thank you, we're going to work through this together, and I'm here.
I think that's wonderful advice. Just understanding those, what might seem like a little or minor change, that could really be a big deal. You just don't notice it initially, especially when you're living with someone and you see them every day. So thank you for that. I think that's fantastic advice.
Sure.
If you are struggling around the holidays, or really any time for that matter, what is the best way for somebody to reach out to NAMI Coastal Virginia?
Sure, but first, let's just say, Katie, if you see a loved one who is in an immediate threat to either of harm for themselves or others, then I would suggest that you immediately text or call 988 and it's called the suicide hotline, but it's not necessarily for folks who are suicidal, but they may be going through something. And then they will connect you immediately with a counselor to help understand what's going on and to help defuse the situation. And if then medical assistance needed, they can get the right folks there to help. Now, unfortunately, if you have to call law enforcement with 911, just be sure that you have to call and let them know, say, hey, please make sure that you bring someone who's a crisis intervention team trained officer.
Yes.
They have had 40 hours of specific training on how to defuse situations, because what we want to do is we want to provide help, not handcuffs, for someone who really needs help. And then we're here at NAMI. Our website is full of information. We have a very dynamic social media page. You can contact us. We are in the office Monday through Friday from 10 to 4. Our local office is located in the Pembroke area, Pembroke 4 building at 291 Independence Boulevard, Suite 225. When someone calls, you will get a welcoming voice on the other side of the phone. I had an opportunity to work in the office at one time just to cover down, and you'll be amazed of what people are asking for. They need help with housing. They need help with finding a right doctor. Some may even need help finding an attorney because they're trying to get some custody things. They're trying to understand the insurance things. So that's what we're doing. We're not trained medical professionals. We're not trained counselors. But we all in that office have a personal connection with mental health. So our phone number is 757-499-2041. That's 757-499-2041. And if you don't reach anyone, that's because we're on the phone helping someone. Always leave a voicemail, and we will be sure to return the phone call.
I think that's a great point, too. You will call back.
Yes.
Leave that message, because I have no doubt that you're very busy, especially getting closer, as we mentioned, to the holidays. If someone wants to get involved with our local chapter of NAMI, what can they do?
You can also call or drop by. We are always looking for volunteers. We have about 70 plus volunteers, but with everyone's schedule, we need folks to come into the office to maybe answer the telephones, to help us prepare for an event. We have resource tables usually at a lot of places, like this coming Saturday. We'll have a resource table out there with information of telephone numbers for all the cities that we serve, and also, different places in each city, like the number to the Community Services Board, the number to housing, the number to other places. We don't endorse other places like companies, but if it's a .gov place, we'll happily provide that information for you.
Max, what made you decide that this was something that was really important to you to get involved in? This, of course, being NAMI.
Yeah. So my story started somewhere around 2014 when I have a loved one that was experiencing anxiety and depression. I didn't really know what the signs were, and I was just looking for answers, and the World Wide Web at the time had so much information that was overwhelming. And I said, I need to talk to someone on the phone and visit someone in their office to try to help me understand what's going on. And in the Virginia pilot, there was an article in there for the National Alliance of Mental Illness, the Family to Family program. So I called the person on the phone and I said, this is what's going on. And she says, well, our class is full, but can you be here Thursday? Yes, I can be there Thursday. She got me in, and it changed my life tremendously. It allowed me to realize that I'm not the only person that's going through any of this. There are a lot of family members who are having some things. The statistic says, 1 in 5 persons suffer with some type of mental health condition, but only about 2/3 of them ever get treatment.
Right.
So, in a room with a lot of folks, there's always someone who's going through something. Some people can handle it. Some people need some additional help. Just remember that mental health is a medical condition that needs to be treated just like any other medical condition that you have.
All right, Max Willey of NAMI Coastal Virginia, thank you so much for taking the time today. Such an important conversation to have, and I certainly appreciate you.
Thank you, Katie, so much.
Of course. And thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of Parenting Unscripted. Remember, new episodes of Parenting Unscripted air every Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. We appreciate you joining us today. Be good.